here's the key. It's right in front of us. And we've talked about this before as well. The sinister organizations, the WEF, the UN, and the WHO, World Health Organization. The World Health Organization no longer classifies transgender as a mental illness. World Health Organization is a private organization owned by private individuals that governs exactly nothing.
Yes. Why we've allowed them to have a position of authority in any decision-making process is beyond me.
Any of those organizations.
Yeah.
If you ever hear anybody at your work saying, oh, well, it's a WHO standard, right there, you should be freaking.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I can pound some sand.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
We need to start pushing back against that stuff.
Yeah. Actually, it's probably going to, well, they're already talking about this bird flu crap. And I have a feeling they're going to try that same crap they did in 19 and 20, 21 around this time frame. And I literally don't think our population is going to handle that well.
I was talking to a farmer in the Thumb earlier this week. Michigan, by the way, map of Michigan, the Thumb. We literally have that. The farmers here have already seen a couple of instances of bird flu, but they sat down and looked at it. It started in Texas. And we have 2 cases of it here. One in, I think, Ionia, somewhere around there. At any rate, they told me that they saw a pattern.
Yep.
And right now, the farmers are out and on watch, watching the poultry farms and facilities, looking for saboteurs, frankly. Yes. People trying to fuck up the chickens because it's easy to kill chickens. Chickens are one of the most delicate birds out there for diseases and stuff like that. If one chicken gets sick, the whole flock is gone. Pretty much. So yeah, that is coming out of the WHO. They're talking about that. The WEF is talking about the effects of that on the economy. Our FDA is, bird flu, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah. And listen, again, we talked about this a couple shows back. Fucking with the food supply is a great way to try to control people. It's just that simple.
Yep.
Now, I just cannot believe the insanity that we're dealing with. Because literally, I remember when they were, I just want to get married as a gay person, and everyone's like, yeah, okay, that's not a big deal. Now they're literally putting transsexuals into story hour in schools, in libraries. It's happening on military posts. This is reprehensible. It has literally gone off the rails. I literally cannot think of anything more besides genocide than messing around with kids at that level. That is very evil in my opinion.
The fact that we haven't pushed back as a community on this stuff disappoints me, to be honest. We had the whole book thing at our library up where I live, and people did push back, but what these trans activists do with their dollar store Frankensteins is they'll mob you. Our little community's got 70,000 people in the entire county, and it's one of the biggest counties in Michigan. The left rallied something like 300 people to show up at our meeting, and none of them were even from our town.
Yep.
We had one guy threaten our district attorney, the county attorney general, and I immediately went over, got a couple of the sheriffs, and I said, hey, this guy wants to spit on John and hit him. And the sheriff's like, really? Where are you from, sir? May we see some ID, please? And that changed that guy's tune real fast. He suddenly was not tough anymore.
Well, here's the thing with the left. They don't have the numbers.
No.
They act like they do. They appear as an illusion that they do because of all of the cancel culture. But in reality, there are way more people in the center and to the right than there are of these walking, Fruit Loops, in my opinion, of course. And we're just going to have to stand up to them and just go, pound some sand.
That they had to call out to all of the other communities in Michigan to get those numbers there tells you that what you just said is exactly correct.
Correct.
They're really good at rallying the troops, but if you push, they collapse and they have no hang time. They have
Correct.
no hang time at all. If you keep the pressure constant, they fold.
They quit.
They crumble.
Because they're emotionally weak.
Yeah. This exact group here, the Dollar Store Frankenstein crowd, put up a club in a junior high school in our community. And the other day, you know what happened? A 12-year-old little girl walked into school and went, "This doesn't belong here."
Nice.
And walked away. And the school was going to punish her. And 100 parents showed up and said, "We'll take her detention."
Yes.
And the school administrator went,
"Yeah, we don't have to go there."
Suddenly, the little girl was not punished.
Yes.
And the poster did not go back up. You could do it. A 12-year-old little girl walked in and tore that down and told them to pound sand.
Yes.
Okay. A 12-year-old little girl is outdoing you. So you might want to give that a little bit of thought anyway.
Yes.
So the World Health Organization, this actually happened in 2019, which tracks with everything that's going on. No longer categorize Dollar Store Frankensteins as a mental disorder. I wonder if that's going to get us hit.
Probably. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? UN's health agency approved a resolution to remove gender identity disorder from its global manual of diagnoses. Why is there a global manual of diagnoses?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I think they have a global manual of diagnoses because they want the one world government.
Oh, like Star Trek?
Yeah.
Federation?
And again, we're falling back on individuals who are raised on Star Trek, who think they can walk up to a panel, push a button, and it just magically fucking appears. That is not how the real world works. That is not how this universe works, because the amount of energy to produce something from nothing is probably beyond astronomical.
Star Trek did show us how the real world works several times.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is the episode where the transporter malfunctions and the guy comes through mangled.
Yeah.
Remember that episode?
That was horrible.
It was one of the movies.
Yeah.
That's how the really real world works. Okay?
Yeah.
If you have perfect technology and a perfect government, when you go through that transporter, you're coming out the other side mangled.
Yeah.
The second episode was called A Taste of Armageddon. And it was in 1968. And it portrayed two worlds. Two different.
Oh, yes. I remember that one.
That had been at war for 1,000 years.
Yes.
But they had refined it, you see. And they had made it civilized, you see. And they had computers conducting their wars for them. And if your name came up in the computer, you just politely went to this disintegration chamber.
Yep.
And that was how they waged their war.
Yeah.
Star Trek actually showed us what's going on, because that's exactly what's going on today with the coronavirus.
Yep.
With the lockdowns.
Correct.
You're all sick. Please report to your nearest hospital for termination.
But let's just be honest here. All of the people involved in this lockdown are all, touched in the head. I think they're mentally weak.
Yes.
I literally do. And they're basically sheeple going along with the flow because they don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to lose their friends. They don't want to be ostracized. Well, guess what? Heroes don't mind all of that shit because they know when they stand up and take that one step forward, life is going to get really hard for them. That's why in my book, I write there's no happy ending for heroes. Because it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Now, we need to have some heroes out there to stand up and go against this stuff without violence. All right, because I'm not advocating violence, but we need to have a wave of people with common sense show up and go, this is beyond stupid.
So here's the thing. I'd like to touch your hero moment there for a moment.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Heroes don't get happy endings.
Nope.
Heroes make happy endings.
For others.
They don't get the happy ending themselves.
Nope.
I'm going to throw on my toga real fast.
Okay.
Plato's Republic. Dry. I know. Book 8 exactly describes the situation we're in right now. Talks about how when a tyrant rises, he actually means well. But as time goes on, he pushes away more competent people because he himself is not competent to do what he needs to do, and begins surrounding himself with yes men and lackeys and sycophants. And you get a mire, a quagmire, a swamp like DC. You get a swamp.
Yes.
And that ends up with absolute disaster. The upside of this story, Plato's boring. Sorry, you're going to live with it. Okay. The upside is the tyranny comes down.
At some point,
It
when
must
enough,
it must come down. It comes down under its own weight. And Plato wrote about this 2,000 years ago.
yeah, and literally, if he's writing about a cycle that he's seen 2,000 years ago, it's still happening today.
Because we're
evil hairless monkeys,
exactly,
and we don't learn.
We don't learn.
No.
We have a really hard time with learning. Homer, 369 BC, stay out of Afghanistan. Everybody since then, hey, Afghanistan sounds like a good time.
Yeah. And it's been the graveyard of empires.
Yes.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.